Alright, so I'm back, and today I'm going to do a rant of the week. And before we get into the actual rant, first off, as you see, I'm redoing the shelving system. I know these are pretty plain as opposed to the glass ones. But the thing is, it's like these guys right here were taking up an entire shelving system, and of the glass shelves, and with the glass shelves, like, I was only able to fit one Dinobot per shelf, essentially, with a little extra room for a couple other characters there, but I couldn't fit all the Dinobots on one shelf, whereas here, I've got the entire, not the entire, because it's just what I have so far of the Season 1 Autobot cast, but right there's all the Season 1 Autobots that I have. To get the 5 Dinobots, Trailbreaker, Ironhide, Ratchet, Prime, Huffer, Prowl, Sideswipe, and Wheeljack. Yeah, all of that on one shelf, as opposed to that would have taken up the entire row, and it's like the glass shelves took up the same amount of space as the black one and the brown one, like from wall to here. So it was like it was just this. They're deeper, they're wider, they just provide more shelves and a little bit more mobility. I'm still in the process of rearranging things, but I do have the 2 of the glass shelves over there for Marvel Legends and stuff. So, it's a work in progress. Alright, so there's that. That's the first thing that's been going on. In between that and work, things have been crazy. I was on vacation not too long ago as well, so crazy couple weeks. And then let's see here. Shout out to Chris. I've been slowly chipping away at the pile of figures he had sent me in the 3 boxes that I did the unboxing for the other day. Or other week now, I guess it is. So hopefully those videos will be coming up soon. I'm just kind of inundated with some other things too, so it's a work in progress. Everything's a work in progress here. And the last thing I want to do is give a shout out to YouTube channel Transformers Talk Raw, because they kind of gave me the idea for this rant. Or at least it started getting the ball rolling in my head, and especially since he called it Rant. Let's see what was. Let me see here. Oh, you stupid thing! I'm trying to pull it up because I give shout outs, to if I'm stealing someone's idea. So it's this is embarrassing Haslab rant and giveaway winners. I just wanted to, give him a shout out because, not only does it say rant in the, like, rant of the week, but it also is a topic that I wanted to talk about. But I only had little bits and pieces of things, and it wasn't a very good conversation, but then that started getting my mind rolling, and then I have other ideas and stuff like that. So let's talk about the Haslab projects that are have been happening lately. So first off, I haven't been a huge fan of the Haslab projects since the Hero Quest. I'm just gonna try and pull that up here. Quest. Let's see here. Trying to find it now. No, that's not. Come on. Is this it? Yeah, so Hero Quest, $100, whatever was the pledge or whatever. Target was $1 million. They got 3.7 million instead, so almost 4 times over what their original goal was for this project. And what really irritates me about this, come on, close, there we go. What irritated me about that was it wasn't very long after the release, finally when we got those shipping notices that, hey, you're getting your Hero Quest box in the mail, that it was announced that it was just getting a standard release. Like they call it Avalon Hill, but it's from what I understand, it's essentially the same exact board game with a few tweaks, and it's like, well, then what's the point of backing the project if it's just going to get a standard release? I mean, I would never back a project that I knew was coming out anyway. It's like that's just pointless. The whole point of this Haslab thing was like, this is the only way you're going to get said figure. So if you want it, you need to back it. And it's like, I like that formula, but if they're not going to follow their formula, I'm not going to be happy with it. So I was pretty cheesed off about that. I mean, it's just like, I don't want anything to do, or I don't want to say that, but it's like, it irritates me that, okay, so, it's like, it's just like a shot in the dark. Like, if, say they did the Unicron again and they got back so hard, and then they announce a week after the release of it that they're going to release it without all the tiers as a standard release, and you could just purchase it anywhere. It's like, then why am I backing it? It's just irritates me. Anyway, so that's my first little issue with it. And then the next one is just like their choices. This is what Transformer Talk Raw was talking about. It was just like they've made some really strange choices, and choices like I wouldn't have made if I were, leading these projects, like coming up with these ideas of like, oh, what should we do for a Haslab project? The Unicron was a great choice. I mean, I think there's some probably more to that story than just, it got backed, but the Sentinel got backed, the Galactus got backed, and Star Saber, I believe, got backed. Now they're doing Deathsaurus, and it's just like, that's where I go, like, that's an odd choice. Like, the Star Saber, I can almost get. I mean, heck, if you remember back, they did this vote on many years ago on what the fans wanted to see for the next, like, MP figure, and Star Saber was the one that won the fan choice. So it's like, I can understand why we're doing Star Saber. Like, I could get that. But now we're into, like, the Deathsaurus, stuff like that, and they're doing it mainline, and it's just like, okay. And honestly, like, if I was doing mainline, I was still tempted on the Star Saber. But I was going in MP line, and I was like, kind of don't really need it, and I don't really want to collect too much out of the main core, the people in the G1 animated show. I don't want to go too far into that, so anyway, and it's like, the Deathsaurus is probably going to get funded, so it's like, that's cool, that's good for them, but it's just a weird choice. There's other things that I would have done instead or done differently. The best example of this is, it just failed. Today's Monday, Tuesday the 1st, and I believe yesterday was the last day for the Engine of Vengeance, and I believe it failed, right? Did that fail? Let's see here. Haslab Engine of Vengeance. Product not found. What is it? Yep. Campaign fails. Yeah, alright. So, yeah. The Engine of Vengeance has failed. Now, here's the thing about that. I mean, it's in the right pocket of what should be in these Haslab projects. However, the execution was just a little strange. And that's the part where I didn't like. What I don't fully agree with. The fact that, like, first off, we're going on a newer Ghost Rider rather than the classic Ghost Rider, and I get that doing the car instead of the bike is a bigger project, and that's what needed to be a Haslab as opposed to the bike, which could just be like a deluxe figure. But it's like you've picked this character, a relatively newer version of a character. Who's not even actually a Ghost Rider, from what I understand. He's like a Ghost Rider, but he's not really the Ghost Rider. And he drives the car instead, and it's just kind of one of those like, well, okay. And then the add-on figures, though, that's where things got weird. Like, first was Laboto's figure of the human version of him, and I was like, why don't you just give him a removable head? And I think they ended up doing that instead because they couldn't get that funded fast enough. And then Mephisto, which I was like, okay, cool. That's a cool one. That's a good one. And then the rest of them, like Goblin Queen, and I don't even know who the other characters were that were on the tiers. They all just didn't make it. I guess they make sense for the character, but they also don't. They're not characters I would have picked. With all this Ghost Rider stuff, it does make you question if we're getting a Ghost Rider movie soon, because there's been a lot of Ghost Rider stuff, Marvel Legend wise, lately. So it's like, even the Orb is getting a release. Who would have thought of that? There's something that should have been a tier on a Ghost Rider thing, but. Here's what they should have done. Rather than just doing a Ghost Rider, first off, throw Moon Knight in there. And I know it's like everyone's like, dude, you're just a Moon Knight fan. Well, in the Age of Khonshu, which happened not too long ago, Moon Knight ended up stealing the Engine of Vengeance so that he could absorb the power of this Ghost Rider. So it's like it would make sense to see like a beat up Mark Spector kind of figure that could steal the car. But another good character that you could have thrown in here that I can tell you I probably would have backed just to get this one. Blade. You take all the flame stuff off, and that's a pretty similar looking car. I'm not huge on the cars, and it's been a while since I've watched the Blade movie, but that's a pretty similar car to what Blade was driving in the Blade movies, at least the first two. And the third one. I've only seen the third one like twice. It's that bad, but it's like, how cool would that have been? You got a movie Blade figure with the car. I think that alone might have gotten it back without the Ghost Rider stuff. I think that might have been the nail on the head right there. People would have been all over that, I think. Because we don't have really any modern day Wesley Snipes Blade figures. And then it would have been cool to, like, maybe he had an alternate head to look more like the comics. So you could have, like, a movie Blade and a comic Blade, all in the same package with the Ghost Rider and the Ghost Rider car, too. Like, you could display it however you want to. Like, how cool would that have been? I think that would have been very successful. So that's what I think they should have done to fix that one. And then as like the lightsaber one that failed, like it's like that's one of those things that's like I it's such a niche collector's piece from such a crappy show with a and it's the lightsaber for a crappy character. Like I would have guaranteed that failed. It did, but I would have guaranteed that failed before they even announced it. Like if they would have been like, "Hey, John, what do you think about this one?" I would have laughed at them. Like, nope, it's going to fail miserably. You're not going to get this through. And the Rancor, that again is in the right pocket. I don't know what they could have done to really make that one more successful, except for maybe put a saddle on it and give it throw Boba Fett in there. I haven't seen that show still, but that would have been, I don't know. Anyway, the answer to any Star Wars things: throw Mandalorian in there. You'll sell. Anyway, but now that we've kind of seen some things, I think what they should be doing. There's a number. I've got plenty of ideas, and they're welcome to take them if they send me a copy of it. That'd be cool. But like, what they should be doing is like, let's say Generation X. Let's do a Generation X crowdfund or Haslab project. How about that? Just do the main core cast of the Generation X people. Jubilee, Skin, Chamber, Banshee, Emma Frost. Those guys. And in their in their Generation X costumes. And then for the stretch goals, we could add other characters like Blink, for example, who was part of Generation X, but wasn't a huge part, and she was only there temporarily. Like, you could add those in. The reason why this would work better than, say, like the Engine of Vengeance is because we're not relying on a whole new mold here. You get a little bit more flexible because most of these things are going to be, like all other Marvel Legends, retools of things that we already have. Right there. It's like that would be one of my number one things to do for like Marvel Legends. Another good option is the Sentinel. Okay, so we already did a Sentinel, and it came with all those extra pieces, different heads, all that stuff, battle damage, and that was pretty cool. But let's if they redid the Sentinel as a Haslab project, but none of those stretch goals. None of them. Just a base Sentinel. And it's going to be about the same cost. Now, when they did this, the first one, their cost would have included the cost of the mold. So now that they have the mold, the price on the figure itself is going to be a lot lower. But if they kept the price the same, let's say the goal was 10,000 backers. I don't know what the goals are or whatever. I'm just throwing out numbers. Say the goal is 10,000 backers. All right, and say we get to 10,000 backers. Cool. Everyone gets a Sentinel. Cool. Base Sentinel troop build them, right? If we reach 20,000 people, everyone gets 2 Sentinels instead. See where that's going there? Like, imagine that, incentive. Like, rather than like, oh, you get a Sentinel with all these extra pieces. Oh, you get 2 of them now. And then imagine, because that would get that troop building idea going in a lot of collectors' heads. Like, well, I got the first one. I could put the Master Mold head on that guy. And then I can get this one, and if we get enough backers, we'll get 2, possibly 3. And just get a small Sentinel army. How cool would that display be? That would be another great choice for them. Another good one I would say is with Transformers. First off, reutilizing things that we have, so that it's not costing them that much, but would still give us value, right? Reissue Metroplex. But before we do, first off, let's retweak him. Because remember, there was a lot of stability issues with the original Metroplex. Let's retweak those stability issues, get those hammered out, and then possibly, give him fully posable hands. Again, that would be pretty cool. And then fully painted. Give it premium paint head to toe. And then the stretch goals could be, 6 gun, whoever, all those little guys that go with him. and then, maybe like Metroplex's eye, and, you could do all of those kind of things. All of which would, again, be repaints and retools, but, give them premium paint and give some collectors that, like myself, I'm not saying like I'm desperate for a Metroplex, but collectors like myself who had him, sold him, and now kind of want him back. Not like fully, but maybe. But imagine, it's like, oh, here's your option to get him back. And if we reach all the stretch goals, we're going to have all of the little side characters with him. But it's also going to be a premium version of him with better joints, better stability, better paint. Just all 9 yards, just a better figure. I think that would be a really good choice on their side. And you could do all 4 city bots like that. Hell, you could do Omega Supreme like that too. Just like, as long as I didn't go too crazy on the cost of them. I still wouldn't want to pay $500 for a Metroplex. But if they did it, kind of, higher than what they had it for originally, but again, they have the mold, so it's not like they have to build a whole new mold for it. Just kind of tweak the things that they have. So I think that would be a good choice for them. And then also another good choice for them would be the best choice for them for Transformers would be things that they've lost hope in, but I think still have hope. Like Beast Wars Masterpiece figures is the best example for this. We only got a handful of ones, and a lot of us Beast Wars collectors are a little on the side, erring on the side of cautions, because the Black Arachnia wasn't all that great, and the Tigertron was almost bad. It was just bad. It wasn't a great figure at all. Joints were loose. Mine broke on camera, if you guys remember. Like, the arm was so gunked up that once I put a little too much pressure on it, it snapped right off. Or it snapped, and then I had to take it apart, and then I realized it was broken, and it took months to get a replacement. And it does make you question, like, man, do I want to go in on an MP Beast Wars, like, official again? And the answer would be Haslab. Like, take the Pterosaur from their generation, because this is the KO version. I'm not saying just do this, but you take this character, or this figure, you blow it to this size, give it a premium paint, and give it a few tweaks on the engineering to, bring it up to MP standards. And then, throw that on the Haslab thing and see what people would buy. See if people will back it. This would be the best way to gauge the interest of the Beast Wars collector. For example, see if there's still a market for you out there. And if it gets backed up real quick, then hey, guess what? There's still a market, and maybe we can go back to regular releases, in the MP line, or keep it as Haslab. Because hell, if they did one character every 6 months, and yeah, it was a little bit more expensive, but I was getting and it was actually good product. Then yeah, I would back every single one of them if it was the MP stuff. And just that's what I would do. If I were them. It's a great way to gauge. Pterosaur would be a great choice because, like, in the generations or whatever they were, Kingdom line, right? It was Kingdom. Whatever, who cares? Pterosaur and Airazor are heavy retools of each other. So if you did the Pterosaur, for example, you could kind of still use that base and reissue it, or not reissue it, but use a remold as Airazor and do a standard release for that. Because, oh, hey, we already got the money for the mold from Pterosaur, so might as well go with Airazor too. And then as far as stretch goals go with those guys, hear me out. two things. One, stretch goal could be you get more stuff. Like all the little accessories and stuff like that. Or two, what if the figures got cheaper? More people that back the project, the cheaper the figures are. Because it's like, you stretch the price of the mold and all that across the line, right? And, you got to make your money and all that stuff, but the mold itself is across the line. So, selling 10,000 units versus selling 5,000 units, the 5,000 is going to have a higher cost per unit to make that money. 10,000 is going to be a little bit lower. It's going to reduce the cost on Hasbro's part. So imagine if, every time we got that stretch goal, it goes down $10. So, you start off like an MP Rat Trap, for example, at $300, and we need 10,000 backers, but then we get 20,000 backers, and then all of a sudden now it's, I don't remember what I said. What did I say, 300? Now it's 250. You get 20,000 or 30,000 backers, now it's 200. And bring it down until it gets to that price point of maybe $80. I would be all over that. That would be pretty cool and it would also give us, the collectors and the buyers, that immediate value of our money in this project. And it would also get more backers. I guarantee you. Let's talk the Rancor. I don't remember how much the Rancor was. But imagine, instead of throwing in the extra little characters or the rock or the bone or the little cardboard backdrop, instead, imagine if it went down $10 to $15 every single time you hit that stretch goal until finally it was $100. You would get so many more people backing this product. I guarantee you it would have funded. Just have that price just go down. More people that back it, the cheaper it's gonna be. Because it's gonna be cheaper on Hasbro anyway to make the thing. So why should they charge the same price and just throw a little extra bonuses in there? That's what I think. I don't know. 100 people pay $100. 150 people pay $90. It's they still get their piece of the pie, but everybody's a little bit happier because they paid less. So, anyway, what are you guys' thoughts on the Haslab stuff? I'm not impressed with it. I think there's definitely a lot of room for improvement, and I'm still bitter about the Hero Quest deal.